Hi, my name is Olivia Vota. I've said that a lot in these videos, I recognize, but you may not know who I am. So my name is Olivia Vota, and today we're going to learn how to make sourdough starter. Now, why would you want to learn how to make your own sourdough starter from scratch? Well, it could be because you're in the middle of a pandemic and you shouldn't leave your house to go get some from a friend. And so you don't also want to buy it online because you're trying to protect all those people who are delivering things all over the country. I don't know. But maybe just because you want to be self-reliant. And that's the reason why I want to learn how to make my own sourdough starter from scratch, because of the self-reliance aspect of it. So that's what we're going to do today. Well, we're going to start the process today because this is actually going to take about a week to complete. For us to be ready to bake, I think it's going to take about a week. I've done some research and there's lots of different ways to start a starter from scratch. Some recommend using rye flour, others recommend using 100% whole wheat flour. I want to experiment with some things that you might have already. Hopefully you already have in your house in case you can't go out and run out and get some rye flour. So we're going to do one experiment with 3 different types of mixes. This is just regular all-purpose flour, unbleached, unbromated all-purpose flour. This is a mix of all-purpose flour and whole wheat, 100% whole wheat flour. And then this is 100% whole wheat flour. Now, each of these, I've already measured them, and they each have 60 grams of flour. So 60 grams of all-purpose, 30 grams of whole wheat flour, 30 grams of white for this mixture one, and 60 grams of whole wheat flour, 100% whole wheat flour. Next, what we're gonna do is we're gonna add 60 grams of water to each one. So it's a 1-to-1 ratio that we're going to start with. So if you're at home and all you have is all-purpose flour, you can do this. Just do a 1-to-1 ratio. This is a pint-sized jar. You could certainly do a bigger jar, but this isn't going to get too big. So I'm comfortable using just a pint-sized jar. Okay, so we're going to add, now if I were using this, right? If I were doing this, if I hadn't already done this for you before, I'd pull out my scale and I would tear this out or zero it out. I would have measured my, let's see, this is the mixture. This is all-purpose flour. I would have measured my flour, 60 grams. And then I would have zeroed out my scale, and I'm gonna add 60 grams of water. This has already been pre-measured, and so it makes it a little easier for us. I'm gonna set this down, and I'm going to then zero this out again. And we're going to add another 60 grams of water. This is the half and half. And then we're going to add 60 grams to our last jar, which is going to have the 100% whole wheat flour. Okay. So I'm going to mix them with my favorite spatula that you're going to hear me brag about all the time. It's this long, narrow OXO. You can find it on Amazon. I looked it up for you and it's just $8 since you can't really go out right now. And we're gonna mix these. We're just gonna do a really good job of incorporating all of that flour into the water, or all the water into the flour. I don't know which is correct. We're gonna just do a really good job of mixing it all up. It should be completely hydrated. That flour should be completely hydrated. Okay, and then when it's done, I'm going to clean the sides. And what should happen in about 48 hours, well, maybe even in 24 hours. After 24 hours, we're gonna check this. We're gonna check these, and we're going to, let me get my lids, just one second. Okay, I've already labeled these lids and they're ready to go. So we're gonna put a lid on them. I've labeled them with the date and the time that we're doing this. And then I'm just gonna set them on my counter, okay? What should happen after about 24 hours is that you might start to see a couple of bubbles on the very top. And but don't feel, don't stress if you don't see any action. It might take longer than that. However, come day 3, at the 72-hour mark, you should start to see some bubbles for sure. And at that point, we're gonna feed the starter. So what I'm gonna do is tomorrow, around the same time, I'm going to make a video checking how our little starters are doing. And I'll post that video, and then we'll post another video on day 3. This is my combo. Whoops. And this is the 100% whole wheat flour. Now, I recognize that although I may have wheat berries and a wheat grinder here at home, you might not. So that's why I'm kind of excited to find out if we can do this, get this going with just all-purpose flour. But I also recognize that maybe you are the kind of person that uses all whole wheat in your baking, and maybe you don't have all-purpose flour, or you can't find any. Maybe you can't find any all-purpose flour, but you have a stash of whole wheat berries. Of wheat berries, and you can use that to start. So we're gonna see what we can get to happen. And if you have any questions, just leave them in the comments and I'll try to answer them. But again, we'll check in 24 hours and then we'll check back in 48 hours. And at that time, we'll start the feeding process. So I'm really excited about this. I hope you are too. Get the kids involved. I think this is gonna be really fun. Thanks.